And to me, that really was the birth of the aroma chemicals business. We did it in 3 months.
Which year was this?
This must have been 99.
How did your colleagues react to that? Did they follow their chairs?
I didn't think of any of that. I said, how do I grab the order was the only thought. But initially, people were a little tense. But I think when this whole thing turned around and the first order came, everybody was set.
The world of fragrances is high-tech, complex, and one which very few Indian companies have been able to crack. My guest today is one of the people who has built a really large chemicals business in the aroma chemicals and fragrances space. It's unusual, it's unique, and his story to get there is even more interesting. Rajen Mariwala has spent almost the last 40 years building one of the largest aroma chemicals businesses in India and taking it to the world. Rajen, welcome to India Chemical Diaries.
Thank you.
Rajen, the intent of India Chemical Diaries is actually to speak about you and your journey. You speak about aroma chemicals extremely well. You speak about chemicals extremely well. We're actually not going to speak about it at all today. We're actually going to speak about your journey getting here, building the business from where you started to where you are, and hopefully inspire a few people along the way as well.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the beginning, back to the early 90s, late 80s. 86, you came to India from the US. You got into the business. In the early 90s, around liberalisation, is when you actually moved to building aroma chemicals. Just walk us through what the initial years were like, and why did you choose to do aroma chemicals of all the things at that point of time?
So I think in some sense, the journey started when I came in. I stepped out. We had a kind of a family constitution. I was one of those who thought I should live that. Stepped out and worked at a different company altogether and learned the first art of what it is to manage the shop floor. And that was an eye-opener and a learning experience. Then we were going to put up a new unit, new sets of products at a different location. So joined the legacy family business, which was in oleochemicals and specialties, derivatives of oleochemicals. And we acquired a small unit in Pune, which was going to make some of these molecules. So I went there, but all the technologies were a challenge. And as India was opening up, suddenly the duties started dropping. The whole business was, really challenging at that time. At some stage, father, his brothers, and my cousin, they decided that I should maybe move to Bombay to take over the chemicals business, which actually was a turnaround case. And so that was the first challenge. And, we went through all the motions of what turnaround requires. Cutting out unprofitable products, reducing people, changing product mix, then building on that product mix. Whilst doing that, I still remember one evening I was sitting with my wife and I told her, I can't be doing this. I'll spend too much time doing this. I need to do something which also stimulates me. And that time I had absolutely no idea what I want to do. The only time I had an idea as what I wanted to do was, I'm just rewinding back. When I was at Cornell, my friends were asking me, why aren't you interviewing with companies? I said, I want to go back to India and start a business which sells globally and which allows me to travel because I love to travel. So these were the two manifestations I made at the time of my education. Still, when I started thinking about the business, these were never on the forefront. I mean, the whole thing was, how do I save the business and pull it out and make something for myself? So what we used, people talk of platforms. The first thing that came to mind is we were good at hydrogenation. And we had some of these products. There were a lot of well-wishers and mentors, who helped in choosing the products, whether it's Professor Sharma, Professor Joshi from ICT, my cousin for all his advice and direction, Hashbhai, and of course, last but not the least, my wife. So we started that, and the first steps were going to small Indian customers. And then very soon, so we started with the first aroma chemical. I still remember the first batch when we took, it was done in, we couldn't afford a stainless steel reactor, precious metal catalyst done in a mild steel reactor, 8 days is what we took to get the batch out. And patiently we waited. Costs were high, but we, I think, figured out where our, if what we need to do to save the cost. So path to profits was figured out very quickly. And then the whole journey, to my mind, began. We started with an intermediate for aroma chemicals and very soon realized that if we cannot go downstream, it will not remain a viable business. Fortunately, because of the experience I had in the turnaround, I think it helped a lot in figuring out what we were good at and what we were not good at. So that was the starting point of the journey. And I think at some stage we figured out very quickly, more important than what we are going to do is what we are not going to do. That was the thing. So we had to think of going international at that stage.
Who gave you your first order? Like, why did someone say, okay, Rajan, you have my order?
Locally, of course, people knew us, so it was easier to get. But the first international order, it took us 3 years and regular visits, convincing customers that coming out of India, we are reliable and we can sustain our business.
How did you do that? Like, how did you convince someone you're coming out of India, you're new to the space?
It actually started with a trade partner in Singapore. And once that happened, he was very close to a multinational. Minute that happened consistently for 6 months, they were willing to at least meet me in person. So started meeting them. I knew the country manager here very well. He is a very good friend. And they started kind of thinking that maybe these guys are doing some right things. So we started, because our standard question used to be, everybody used to offer 100 products. They said, you have only one product you're offering. So our answer was, yeah, we would rather go for economies of scale than go for economies of scope. And that, I think, resonated with a few people. So that was turning point. And first order came is, of course, in 93 when it started, then came from a big consumer products house in Indonesia, because that gentleman also believed us totally.
And when you say us, is it you? Were you the front face? I'm assuming so, right?
I was the front face, but he believed in the company or whatever. I think we struck up a rapport. So to date, they're still our customers.
Really?
Yeah, they're absolutely our customers. So, and both these companies are our customers. So I think that was the beginning.
Where were you when you heard that you had gotten the first order, which is a reasonably big order, either from Indonesia or Europe, etc.? Like, where were you? What did you feel? What did you tell your wife that day?
I don't think I remember where I was.
What did you feel? I'm sure it's etched in your memory, you know? It's like a huge...
No, actually, it's not that. It's what happened after the first export order to that multinational.
Okay.
That happened. That is etched in my memory.
What happened?
Indonesian, I think I was at home because my older daughter had just been born.
Oh, wow.
And within a month of that, we got it. I was at home with her. So I got the call saying we got the order.
Wow.
But I think the one which we sent to US was a story.
Okay.
Yeah. So we shipped out the goods and suddenly they land up in the US. I remember it was in December 94 or something. And Jan 95, we get a message saying that goods are not up to the mark. I said, oh my God, what happened? So they talked about saying that the lining had peeled out from the drums. So I said, okay. I said, I'm coming. And I told them that we will take the goods back, but we'll need some help in terms of documentation because the regulations were very, very complex. So they called up their country manager and said, is this guy mad? I've not seen an Indian company saying we'll take it back before even normal standard would be, what is your analysis? What is this? Can you get it done outside?
Check it, yeah.
Yeah. So I flew there. We made sure we got the goods back and reshipped it. So that was in some sense the beginning of a relationship. It tested us where it mattered the most.
Wow.
How do we react to a crisis?
And are they a customer still?
Oh yeah.
Right.
And they are a big customer.
Are the people from them still here with them? Or is the influence still here?
No, not many.
Are you friends with the person who gave the order?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
It's because one of those life-changing instances, right?
Life-changing instance. Yeah.
When you, like, there's like a moment of truth that most people do.
So At that stage, they told us that our team would like to meet you there was, I think, World Perfumery Congress in Istanbul or something in the same year.
This is which year? 94?
95.
95? Okay.
Yeah. So I went to the Congress and they were asking us, what are you planning to do to resolve this? So we got into a complete root cause analysis, found an alternate lining, tested it and did it. And that, I think, really helped build the relationship. They realized that we are serious about what we want to do and not just there to try and quickly build a business. So I think that's what we, I think, lived up to a lot of things which we had told them during the initial phase. And I think that worked.
Were they references for future customers? Then did they tell others about you? Like some of this stuff actually becomes stories which help you on credibility to others, right? So did it help with others to say, look,
I am sure it had.
I'm working with X
I
person.
never bothered to ask them, never told them that you'll be my reference. But I think this is a small industry, word of mouth.
I know. I'm sure people heard about, or people would have asked saying, should I even work with Eternis coming out of India? Because in the early 90s, you were still much smaller, right?
Exactly.
I'm also curious, how did you manage the stress of financials at that time? Because it's a small company, it's a large order, you've got to take it back, wait.
Good question. But we had, at that time, the family businesses had just split. So I think there was some arrangement made for liquidity and that helped in doing it. Otherwise, it would have been a challenge.
But personally, you must have been reasonably stressed about just getting things right. I don't know if you're like, what was your state?
It's initially first year and a half stressed. After that, it was stress for growth. How fast can we grow? I don't know. Maybe by nature, it bothers me more if we are not growing than getting into some jam somewhere. Jam is a problem which is learning and move on. Solve and move on, solve and move on. But not getting growth is something which bothers me.
And on that note, when did it stop feeling like this is a company which you are holding together and it's a company which is moving on its own reasonably so? Like at what point of time did something change within Eternis? Did something change within you that said, okay, now I can breathe a bit?
Yeah, it's a good question. At that time, I think a lot of time was spent on deciding what we don't want to do. And once we were clear about that, what we don't wanted to do was very limited stuff. So that made life a lot easier. And then I think must have been in 1998 or 99. Yeah, one big customer came saying, we are relocating our plant next year. And can you help us with 2 products which we're making at a very suboptimal scale? Can you help us? Now, that was a question. So to me, that was a bigger dilemma than whether I can grow or not. And then how do I fix this? So that time, by then, we had moved our legacy business to Pune at Kurkum, where we have a current factory.
Yeah.
And I still remember whilst we were driving with some colleagues, I said, why don't we just shut this business? Because we had rebuilt the business, it was profitable, so we could afford to do that. So I said, why don't we just shut this business and turn the plant around into an aroma chemicals plant? And to me, that really was the birth of the aroma chemicals business. We did it in 3 months.
Which year was this?
This must have been 99. I think 99, because 2000 we supplied them. Or 99, second half we started supplying them.
How did your colleagues react to that? Did they fall off their chairs?
I didn't think of any of that. I said, how do I grab the order was the only thought. But initially, people were a little tense. But I think when this whole thing turned around and the first order came, everybody was set.
How convinced were you that this is the right decision to make? Like, what level of conviction did you have?
I was very clear because 2 years that business, oleochemical business had not grown. And it was not a market I was wanting to service.
Yeah.
So there was, one of the things which is learned reading a book is don't make your passion into a business. Find your passion in what you're doing. Reverse. And that's what I found. Minute we started aroma chemicals, started exporting, I said, this is what makes sense for us. So that's why I didn't even think about that legacy. Because overnight, we just killed it. We just made sure that we built up stocks for wherever we had confirmed orders, serviced everybody, and we were out.
And within 3 months, you were back with the new plant.
We are with the aroma chemicals plant.
All commissioned and running.
It was the same plant, which was just cleaned up and commissioned and started. Whatever little we knew, we just by then we were also profitable. So we started moving things around very fast.
Wow.
So I think in that sense, people talk about speed, agility. That's been part of the growth DNA.
Did you consult with anyone before you did this? Like, did you
Yeah,
talk
I
to
think
someone?
I spoke to my cousin definitely. If my memory serves me right, I spoke to him.
So that was one person at least. You just said, "Look, I'm going to do this. Am I completely going to kill the golden goose, or is it a good thing for me to do?"
Yeah, no, it was the right thing to do. In the hindsight is always 2020.
Of course.
It was the right thing to do.
That's a turning point, right? Considering where you are right now, that was like the one big switch. Otherwise,
If we had not switched, I think we would have probably missed on that.
and you would have been one of many right now, right? I mean, not differentiated, one of many struggling for margins, the usual problem which a lot of people have. That takes a lot of conviction to do that. Is there a time when you felt like you had made a mistake on this decision? Because this is like a very pivotal decision in the business.
No, I don't think that
No?
ever came back.
Very clear.
Yeah, it's partly nature. I don't like to look back. It happened, move on. Whatever you did, 2020 can always be great. Hindsight is always 2020, but I'm fine with it. I don't need it.
Walk us to a time when you had come back from the US, I think 86, if I'm not mistaken. You're obviously graduated from one of the top universities. I have the advantage of having some knowledge about you. I know you love problem solving. I know you love, like, if someone tells you it's a tough problem, you say, okay, this is the one I want.
I would love to take.
You don't want the easy ones, you want the tough ones, which say everyone says it's not possible to do. Why did you choose to join either the family business or build something here? There were like 100 other things you could have done with your life, particularly from Cornell, etc. There, very clear that entrepreneurship and family business was what it was going to be.
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship was very clear. I didn't know what. But entrepreneurship was clear.
You're always going to be your own boss.
Yeah, I was very clear that I don't want to go anywhere right now. I'll give it a shot.
Is it DNA or is it more your nature? What do you think?
Good question. I think it's DNA because everybody in the family has been like this. So I don't think it's just my nature. I have to credit all my cousins. Everybody has been like this. So
I come from a Gujar family. My dad always says, "What are you doing this employment and job? Like, what are you doing this year?"
So yeah, more than that, also I think the fun and pleasure of having certain things where you not in your control, but at least the options to be able to do it the way you may want to think about it.
Interesting. And is there a version of Rajan who's not doing Eternis? Like, you've always had one fork in the road where it could have been left or right. You took the left fork to get to Eternis. What is another option? A job you almost took, a city you almost lived in, a career you almost did, which is not Eternis.
I think of a career which I would almost like to do.
Which is?
Now, I wouldn't mind becoming a sommelier.
Of course.
Wine sommelier. I love wine, so.
Is that a reasonable career to do now, you think?
It's always, you can make a go. You don't have to remain a sommelier all your life. There's lots of things you can do. But it's just that's where I feel that I'm trying to make my passion my career, and I'm not sure whether I would want to waste it. Because I enjoy it. And it's not about just drinking. I think that is another story which we can talk offline, but that's a story too.
So the sommelier part, tell us more about it. When did that start? When did you realize you?
That's why I said that's a story.
Is it linked to aroma?
Time when I went to Cornell. When I got the admission, I looked at the Cornell brochure. They have a hotel school there. They used to have a program called Wine Tasting 101. Now, it was not the tasting part. At that time, I had no idea about wines.
This is in Cornell.
Yes. But it was the part of how things are grown, the fermentation processes, and the exposure to sunlight, soil, all that. That was the fascinating. The science behind it was fascinating because even whilst at Cornell, in 86, I did a elective in biochemical engineering.
Which was well advanced of it.
And at that time, nobody knew about it.
Yeah.
It was just about kind of coming in as a thing. So it was, I think, came out of a pure curiosity and problem-solving mindset. It was not because of this. So that's where it started. And it remained in my head.
So I've got a question coming at the end about what Rajan is going to do in 2035. I think sommelier is going to be part of that answer already. Is my set coming up here. But we shall come to that. Yeah. Switching gears, going even further back. Take us back to your childhood. Is there a memory which stands out from your childhood, like a particular scene? Like everyone has this one or two things which is just like crystal clear, sharp, however old you are. It's like you're back in home. Like, is there a scene which stands out saying, hey, this kind of was a defining moment, or I remember it so clearly because there's something associated with it?
I think for me, one defining moment, if there was something high on the list, was when I went, it was not childhood, so I was already in Chennai doing my undergrad in chemical engineering. And the first time my parents came, they said that, he's staying in a hostel and, my mother was shattered. So she's telling me, do you want a rented apartment? Do you want a car? I said, no, I'm happy staying in the hostel. And I think she probably thought I was a bit nuts to do that. But that was in some sense, it molded me a lot. Those 4 years were a big, they had a big role to play in molding me.
Was it the first time you stayed outside home?
Yes. And I think every minute I stayed there, I have thoroughly loved and I've lived it. Even now, I have memories. If you ask me, some of the best memories were there.
For college? Undergrad times?
Undergrad time.
Memories and growing up. You said you were clearly going to be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is really, really tough. I mean, it is just a real hard... It's not even a job, right? It's just a calling which you basically have to live 24/7. What drives you? Like, why do you do this? And most people have very different responses on what they're like. What gets you out of bed in the morning to really do this on a day-to-day basis, and now like almost coming on 40 years?
Multiple things. Some sense fortunate to be in the place where I am. So, and doing something which I love. And at every stage, there's a challenge to scale it up. And it's that challenge which keeps me going. I mean, you start a business, you turn around something. Then you're building a new business and you don't know anything about. I mean, I still don't think I know as much about the fragrance business as there's always something to learn. So you started something without knowing. So that curiosity to learn was very high. Then came to a situation where we talked about, I still remember reading this Chemical Week. In those days, there used to be a magazine.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the pharma industry. And my first thought was, why can we not use that for fragrance and flavor industry? And that was the time in 98 or 99, I raised an issue of a partnership with a client. Can we do your contract manufacturing? I said, you have bulks, you have APIs, and then you have formulations. So why can't we? So it's the end. That was something which everybody thought I had lost my mind to even think about it. But by the time we moved into early 2000s, we cracked it. So I think these were things which were drivers.
Doing something new.
Yeah, absolutely new.
So I'm going to use this because I'm tempted to ask you, because you told me right before. Tell us what you're doing on AI. Because this is the new thing. And from what I understand, you are spending a ton of time on it, which is quite impressive. Without naming the specific LLM/company that you're using on AI.
I think the most important thing on AI, to my mind, is first to learn what it can do and what it can't do.
Have you built your first agent?
We are in the midst of trying it.
Have you personally done like an agent?
I would call the workflow. Yeah. I'm a different names. So yeah, workflow, we built it. I'm now getting there. Last bit of prompt finalization is taking place.
Amazing.
So I think, we are working on it. And I think AI will require very high governance standards. One realizes what it can do. You need to be careful that the whole organization is not onto it. And need to be clear about your objectives. To me, it's not about cost reduction. It's about productivity improvement. I think as you automate more and more processes, people can take up more and more responsibilities and they can go after opportunities. So that is where I want to spend that time to understand and then drive it through the organization to try and automate the routine stuff, which just takes away time from people.
So effectiveness, not efficiency in some sense.
Yeah, effectiveness, not efficiency. The second thing, I think, which we did not talk about is, to my mind, it is going to challenge the management teams to raise their bar and thought processes. How do you raise your bar and how do you think different?
So how are you going to spend time raising your own bar so that you are on top of this? You're spending a lot of time on it already, right? Which is already a good start.
Yeah.
And with a specific coach who's working with you.
I think what will work is, to my mind, what will really work is to get how you put the prompts in. Then get somebody to work for in your office, and you need to step back, read, analyze, and then see what and where you can go.
Your future chief of staff has to be a great prompt engineer then.
Possibly. And one thing also, one more thing which is very clear for me is today when people say you don't need any knowledge, no, domain expertise is going to be very critical to be able to raise your bar in terms of what you get from AI and how do you build on that is going to be very critical.
No, I know you love R&D. I know you love solving chemical problems. So just help you get faster at doing
Yes,
it, but
exactly.
it's you who is doing the work with some
Exactly. And what I'm feeding in is what I decide. And that's why you have to keep raising that.
On the note of chemical problems, you've been building a pretty large organization now. You have facilities around the world. You've built a pretty large team, a professional team. As you've gone through the last 40 odd years, I'm sure you've had some senior hires who have not worked out, just like everyone else has had. Take us back to a time when one senior hire didn't work out. What was the last conversation you had? How did it feel? What did you say?
You know, the standard, this was, I mean, sorry, but it's a standard line that, it's not really working out. And I think it's better that we kind of part ways rather than continue doing that. So that's about the standard one.
Out of 100% of senior departures whom you had this conversation with, how many of them would have had this as a surprise versus everyone
No,
knew
I don't think there would have been a surprise. No.
Everyone knows it's kind of heading that direction already.
Yeah, and a lot of them then themselves have also proactively come in and done that.
Okay, fantastic. I'm going to switch gears to the acquisition because I am just fascinated by what you did. During COVID, you acquired a company and pretty much remotely, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you didn't visit the company until you put in a bid itself there. The night before you signed the deal, finally said, okay, this is it, I'm going to pay. Where were you? What was going through your mind? How certain or not were you?
God, no, that's a very difficult question because as I said that first of all, we were clear that this was in 2000, I think 17 or 18, we had done our next 3 years vision, 3 or 4 year vision exercise. Some of the environmental factors we were looking at is geopolitical disturbances. We actually had put that down. Yeah, we saw that coming.
Okay.
Second was, between 2015 and 18, a lot of chemical companies were having issues on safety, health, environment, something or the other, going, whether it's international, multinationals or small local companies. So we started thinking that being close to customers will actually become an asset. And that was the driver to start looking at overseas. So once that got clear, then we had to just look at in terms of affordability and valuations which you work with. And when this came, we were very clear that this made sense.
Did you know the asset for some time or did it come and you could?
Oh, yeah, we knew the asset because we had missed it the previous time. So we had missed it at that time. Somebody else got it. Because at that time we were still small and we learned a lot. That's been one of our traits, that every time an acquisition proposal comes, whether we do it or not, we actually sign IM and all that. So we do get it. So we had missed that. But whatever, it happened. Now, if it had come in 2022 after the war had started, I'm not sure whether I would have looked at it. It has been a challenge. I can't run away from that. It has been a challenge.
The night before you're going to sign, how were you feeling? How convinced / not?
I don't think convincing was an issue because it was large commodity products. The only issue was they had some non-FNF products. So that was always saying that we'll have to do something to either learn or flip them around. So, but I don't think that was an issue at all.
We've not necessarily had a long track record of Indian chemical companies going and buying assets abroad and then turning them around over time. What was clear in your mind as saying, look, without this, I'm just not going to do this acquisition? Is it like a team thing? Like, what were you saying, look, this is what I need before I'm just going to sign on the dotted line on this one?
It's a good question, actually. I think what worked was there's some common products between the two, and there were relationships with raw material suppliers, which even to date are standing us in good stead. When others are not able to get their materials, we are still getting them.
Interesting.
And it actually started with building that particular range of products we had launched about 5-7 years ago. And we had looked at this because we were keen to get into it. So we did not use it as a strategy. It was actually an execution game to build scale. As one leg of potential, scale up, was that if we can get an acquisition at a relatively simpler price, relatively good price, we should be able to do it and not pay excess valuation. We walked away with lots of them.
Is it?
Yeah. When the valuation, we are very clear that we don't want to buy a high multiple business unless there is something really, where you're dead sure it's going to.
Of course. Actually, it's refreshing that you are that clear, because then your teams are clear where they're going to spend their time and not going to spend their time, right? You're just very clear. I won't do these products. I won't do these acquisitions. It's a bunch of stuff. Half the job, obviously, is just like, this is not what we're going to do. This is what we're going to focus on this stuff there, right? Awesome. Okay. We've done the hard work now. We're going to go to the fun part of this one, hopefully. So we're going to transition into the rapid fire round. No thinking. First thing that comes to mind as you go through this. Ready? Okay. First thing that comes to mind. One thing about work that people overcomplicate.
Communication. Come straight to the point. Don't go around in circles.
One non-negotiable leadership trait.
Multiple. If you think there's a mistake, own it. It's not a mistake. We can correct it early enough. And no compromise on safety.
No compromise on safety.
Safety, health, environment. No compromise.
Interesting. From the leadership downwards.
Yeah.
Everyone has to.
I'm not talking about the integrity, honesty, all that.
That's obvious.
It's obvious, yeah.
You're saying from leadership onwards.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Someone's come to you. It's a terrible idea. What's your polite way of saying this is a bad idea?
Well,
Or is there a polite way of saying this is a bad?
Yeah, I think ask a few very factual questions and a lot of times the answers will come. Or if I'm short on patience that day, I said, kill it. I think it's a waste of time. Kitna revenue hoega, kya hoega, aur chodo.
If you could have one superpower at work.
I could. If I can micromanage everybody in my...
Okay. It's a company offsite. There's a set of people on the stage. One of them is going to play Rajen Mariwala on stage. What's the catchphrase they use to imitate you? Say, this is Rajan. Everyone knows.
And you know what? This I have to share. I asked somebody.
Okay.
And the answer I have is, because I have this nasty habit of every time they come and tell me, oh, this month the sale is so much. I said, great, but could it have been more? So the sales team loves it, but hates it. Both combination.
Great, but could it have been more? I love it. I'm going to use that as well now. Okay, improve the person with time. Patience.
Improved.
Risk appetite.
Improved.
Sleep.
Mixed. There are times where I go through kind of, it's funny you'd ask me about that acquisition. That doesn't give me the kind of sleepless nights small problem solves can give me. I get really agitated sometimes about small problems.
Interesting. That solves the micromanagement problem. And if you had super.
No, I hadn't. I have actually done a lot of delegation now.
Awesome. So that goes to the next question. Delegation.
Now it has improved dramatically. I hardly get into any routine.
Optimism.
Oh, it's
sky high.
Yeah. Always.
Okay. In 10 words or fewer, what is Rajen Mariwala doing in 2035?
2 or 3 things. Somewhere I need to be mentally engaged. So I will be mentally engaged. My wife and I have been funding a friend who's pulling out kids from, slums and training them in sailing. I think I would like to get more involved. He knows also. I would like to get more involved in that. I think it's a great journey because I love sailing. And I think this is a great combination of passion and non-commercial activity. Awesome. So this is something I would definitely be involved with.
Sommelier?
Yes and no. But not necessarily full time right now.
Okay.
But yeah, it would be nice to have these things going. And and I love reading. I love classical music, so both Western Indian. So there are lots of things to do.
Fantastic.
I don't think that's an issue now.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, Rajan, thank you very much for your time. This has been a real conversation. I can't wait to see what comes next for Eternis and more importantly for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.